Welcome to the Women Healing Podcast, a place to discover the power of who you are, what you want, and have the most fun having it all on your terms without doing it all, so you feel wildly successful in every area of your life. My name is Michelle Kenan. I'm a somatic therapist, neurolinguistic programming practitioner, and wild feminine embodiment coach, and it's time to set yourself free so that the world and your man always give you what you want, or even better than you can possibly imagine. Here's how. Real talk, I used to have really shitty luck with men. And it's not uncommon. I'd say most women out there feel like there's a huge disconnect or misunderstanding between men and women in the world today. Most women feel like men don't understand them, or that they don't like women's emotions, or a lot of women feel like they're too much and they're not accepted by the men in their lives. And for most of my life, I would have 100% agreed with those feelings, because in my teens, my 20s, even my early 30s, it felt like I had dated every man in New York City and had failed miserably to figure out what to do to get somebody to love me and to commit to me and to give me all of the things that I really wanted in relationship. And I definitely have a memory of being at a dinner party, drunk and slamming my glass on the table and saying, I've dated every man in New York City. Romance is dead. And of course, that was the year before I met my now husband. So I want to say it all worked out. But even in the context of my relationship, in the early years of being with my husband and even into my marriage, I was doing a lot of stuff unconsciously that was getting in the way of me having everything that I wanted with my man. And I had been taught this, just like most women, from birth, from watching the women around me struggle in their relationship with men, whether it was at home, women sacrificing themselves, martyring themselves, going above and beyond, putting everybody's needs before their own, and then feeling exhausted or resentful or overwhelmed or never having time for themselves, or even at work in the corporate world, feeling like they weren't treated the same as their male colleagues and they had to do extra while at the same time modulating their tone of voice and being nice but not too nice, and authoritative but not too bossy, and clear without being too bitchy, like navigating all of these unspoken rules that ended up leaving women feeling annoyed at a system that didn't understand them and told women that they were wrong and that they needed to change who and how they were in order to be professional and in order to excel in the workplace. And I gotta say, I had a lot of similar experiences. And for much of my life, I believe this to be true. I remember when I was in my 20s and I was first starting to work in corporate America in New York City. I remember getting sent home from the office because my clothes were inappropriate and not being allowed to go to client meetings because the way that I communicated was too wild or too freely. And I even remember getting ready for a pitch presentation and having one of my male bosses tell me that I had to take off my earrings because they were too distracting. And it was pieces of feedback like this and ways that I was received, or rather rejected, by men all of my life, and watching other women get rejected by men all of their lives for being who they were or expressing themselves, that really gave me this energy of fuck you, right? Like, how dare you, and get angry at men for not loving me for who I was, angry at men for not accepting all of me, the amazing parts, but also the messy, disgusting, weird, unsexy, unattractive, emotional parts. The way that I felt like I was forced to be a certain kind of beautiful, that I needed to lose weight, that I needed to dress a certain way, that I needed to express myself in a certain way, that I needed to live up to some kind of ideal of femininity, of womanhood, in order to be loved, in order to be accepted, and in order to be in relationships with men, whether they were romantic relationships, professional relationships, or peer-to-peer relationships. And this belief persisted. This belief lasted for most of my life because everywhere I looked around at other women, they were all like, yeah, me too. And it was only after I finally met my now husband and was in a relationship, in a loving relationship with somebody that wanted the best for me and that saw the incredible parts of me and that wanted to see me thrive and grow and saw all of my potential and loved me for all of me, that I had a really deep soul cracking realization. And if you listen to one of my previous episodes, you might remember how I dropped to my knees hysterically crying and apologizing to my husband one day. I want to talk about this realization because what I teach women is how to have the most incredible relationships with the men in their lives, particularly their husband, their masculine partner. And the reason why what I do works is because most women are so deeply, deeply misinformed about men, especially the man in your life that loves you, that wants you to be happy, and that is literally partnered with you and choosing to stay partnered with you every single day. Y'all wake up together, you talk together, you work together, whether you have a piece of paper from the government or not. When you're in a relationship with someone, every day you are both choosing to be there together. And most women grew up with a certain experience and certain understanding about men that they're bringing into their current relationships and that are getting in the way of not only you having all of the things that you want in your partnership, but they're getting in the way of him, of being the man that he wants to be in his relationship with you. Let me explain. See, most women have been taught that we're equal to men. We're the same as men. And because of this, we have a lot of expectations about how men are supposed to be, how they're supposed to act, how they're supposed to treat us, how they're supposed to handle our emotions. And when they don't do that, when they don't live up to those preconceptions and those expectations, we get really disappointed. And that disappointment turns to anger, it turns to resentment, it turns to pain, and it turns to stress. And we expect men to do what we would do and to react in the ways that we would react, right? A lot of times I hear women say, well, I would never do that, or I would do that. Why doesn't he do that? And the reason is because he isn't you. Men run on a totally different system. It's not better, it's not worse, it's just different. So if you already have the preconceived notion that you're the same and you're expecting him to do and be just like you would, you're already setting yourself and him up for failure. Because here's the thing, unless you're some kind of narcissist, you probably didn't marry somebody that is exactly 100% like you. And in fact, there's a whole spiritual and personal development aspect to being in relationship that most people don't know about, right? Most of us got into relationships because we felt lonely, or we wanted to do life with someone, or maybe we wanted to start a family, or maybe there was a hole inside of you, this need, like, I really want to be someone, I really want to find my other half, my puzzle piece, and do something with them, create with them, grow with them, do life together, right? But in doing this, you probably didn't realize that there was going to be a whole aspect to relationship that was about growth, that was about healing, and that was about what can only happen when you're in the context of a partnership, and that can never happen when you're by yourself, right? I hear some women say life would be so much easier if I was alone. I see a lot of older women, especially women that have gone through divorce, that are just like, I don't want to be with someone else. My life is so much simpler. My life is so much easier just with me. And I get that, right? It's the same thing with meditation. Life is so easy if you just go sit on a cushion in the corner, clear your mind, have amazing thoughts. But then you got to go out in the real world. And that is when you really get tested. Same thing with a relationship. You might be doing a lot of personal development work, or things are really good when you're just all by yourself. Nobody's bothering you, like you're in your groove. But once you're in the context of being with another person, you might start to get tested. Things might start to come up. You start to bump up against a whole other person. And if your inner dialogue is telling you that men are wrong, men are bad, men can't meet my needs, and also, why is he doing it like that? That's wrong. Why can't he do it my way? Why do I always have to do everything? Basically, you're setting yourself up for a perfect storm of disappointment and animosity when you could be having an incredible relationship that becomes a place of healing and growth and creating with another person things that are absolutely impossible for you to do on your own. And I just want you to think about it, right? It's not that relationships are better or being single is better. I'm not talking about better or worse. Like, let's just get real here. Whatever you do alone, if you had a partner that brought their own resources, their own energy, their own perspective, their own way of doing things, their own wealth of information, their own energy, of course you can go further and faster together. Of course you can only do things with another person that you couldn't do by yourself, because you don't have a whole other individual with all of their gifts and skills alongside of you. It's just logical. It just is what it is. But most of us don't know how to turn our relationships into what I call divine partnerships, into these opportunities for us to come together with the men in our lives in order to not only have all of the things that we want, but to allow it to be easier for us, to allow it to be the life experience that we want, because we don't understand how to tap into an incredible energy inside of us that activates our man, that feels so good for us and also feels so good for him because it inspires him to be his best in the same way that it inspires you to feel your best. And that's really the crux of everything that I want to talk about when I talk about revolutionizing your relationship. When you're in a relationship with a man, you just have to understand that not only are you different, but that that's a very good thing. And how can you capitalize on those differences? And how can you activate the parts of you that feel amazing so that you can show up in a way that feels really good for you, while he shows up in a way that feels really good for him, so that you can both be in your highest and your best energies and join together from that place to build and grow and enjoy life and do all of the things that you want to do side by side. And the really cool thing about this is, all I'm asking you, you might hear a theme in this season of the podcast. All I'm asking you is, how can you be the woman that you want to be? How can you feel the way that you want to feel? How can you do the things that you want to do in the context of this partnership or relationship as the pathway to having an incredible revolution in your relationship and have the experience that you want? See, most women, most of you are doing things that you don't want to do in your relationship, and you're being someone that you don't want to be. And so an example of that is, maybe you feel like a nag in your relationship. And I know for me, I'm raising my hand, for many years, I did feel that way. I felt like I had to be in charge of everything. I had to remember everything. Like I was the engine that was running the show. Like I had to do to-do lists, and I had to I didn't trust my partner to be the man that I wanted him to be. And I didn't trust him to show up in the way that I wanted him to show up. And because of that lack of trust and because of that old pain and past traumatic experiences in other relationships with men, I started to show up in my relationship unconsciously as someone that I didn't want to be. And so in so many of my relationships, looking back, it felt like I was always, let's just say it felt like I was the man in the relationship. It always felt like I was in charge and making the decisions and taking the actions and moving things forward. And so I got so frustrated in so many of my relationships because I was doing things that I didn't want to do. I was showing up in ways that I didn't want to show up. And sexual attraction for my partners. I would lose respect for my partners. Or what would happen is I would show up in that energy, and the ones that were really rooted in their masculine confidence, they would be like, no, thank you. I don't want to get into a power struggle with you. If you're going to try to dominate me and be in that energy, they would either lean back, which would be so infuriating, or we'd start fighting and they'd be like, peace, I'm out. And then I'd see them dating other girls that were nice girls or sweet girls. And then it would reinforce this belief in my head that men don't like strong women and men don't like women with opinions and fuck men. And it would just keep me in this vicious cycle. But when I met my now husband and when we got into our relationship, I had this crazy realization. Here was a man that totally loved me. And of course, that he wanted me to win because my success was his success. When my bank account got fatter, his bank account got fatter. When I was happier, he was happier. When I was getting opportunities, when I was feeling good, he was feeling good too. My happiness and well-being and success was directly correlated and linked to his. So if you're listening to this and you're like, I am so ready to have it all and feel really good every day without compromising ever, then go to www.haveitallqueen.com to dive in and get started. Okay, back to the show. And it really messed with, in a best way possible, this belief that was entrenched in my brain, right? Why would somebody that is committed to you for life want to do things that make you struggle, that make your life hard, that make you not feel good? You got to ask yourself that, because if that's something that is going on in your relationship right now, if you feel like you're not getting all your needs met and your partner isn't showing up the way that you want him to, and it feels like you're doing all of these things that you don't want to do and that he's not doing enough, I want you to look honestly at your partner and ask yourself, is he an asshole? Is he an idiot? And if the answer is yes, okay, that's a bigger conversation for you to have and realize, like, wait a minute, I'm married to an idiot and an asshole, and I'm either going to have to accept that or I'm going to have to make some really big changes if that's not what I want for myself. But for most of you, the answer is no. You married a great guy, right? Like, you wouldn't marry a moron. You married a guy that you fell in love with and that you saw a future with and that you're building with. But there's some things that are going on in your relationship today that aren't working for you, and you want them to be different. And the really amazing thing is, he wants them to be different too. Because something that I teach my clients to understand is that every man inside of him has something called his hero energy. And you can activate your man's hero energy. It's nothing crazy, right? It's not some fairy tale. All it is your man's natural desire to show up for you and to take care of you and to be a leader in your home and in your life and in your family. And a lot of you that have men that love to play video games, this is why. Men love projects, right? Men love projects. They love task-oriented things that they know that there's a start and there's an end, and they know how to do it. They know how to fix it. They know how to win. That's why they like home improvement projects. That's why they like video games, right? Because the way that men think, it's different than women. Men are mono-focused. They like to focus on one clear thing at a time with a start and an end and figure out how to do it and do it right. That's also why men are orgasm focused. They like to know that they did the job and they get the gold star. They give the pleasure, same thing. Whereas women, we're multitaskers, right? We're focused on so many different things simultaneously. It's just different biology. And so when you see a man that is playing video games, it's because he is getting fulfilled. He's getting his hero energy activated and fulfilled by winning the mission, or when he's doing a project around the house, or when he gets a promotion at work. That's a man in his hero energy activated. But most women don't know how to create those opportunities for their man to be a hero in their relationship, because you're doing all the things, especially the things that you don't want to do. And this is a huge mistake, but it's also a huge opportunity. Because once you can stop doing things that you don't want to do, and you can turn to your partner, not in anger, right? Because if you're going to turn to him in anger and resentment, guess what? It's going to trigger his nervous system, and he's going to go into his strategy, his response strategy to protect himself. And that's going to trigger you. And you guys are going to suddenly find yourself in a power struggle against each other. When you can stop doing that and decide that you are going to join forces in a 100 relationship, what you can do is stop doing and being all the things that you don't want in the context of your relationship, and create a new opportunity for your man to do and be all of the things that he already wants to do and be for you, but in the current dynamic just isn't possible. And that's why revolutionizing your relationship is pillar 3 of my have it all method. Because when I say have it all, I mean it. Because most women I work with want to be in incredible relationships. You don't want to do all of this personal development work and look at your partner and be like, damn, what a sad sack over there. Like, I'm so much better than him. He doesn't deserve me. I want more. And end up breaking up, right? But so many women have that experience when they do personal development work, because they're missing this piece of the puzzle. They're missing the education on how to open up the space for your man to elevate alongside of you, without you having to be his teacher, without you having to be his mom, without you needing to go first. And here's the difference. When you decide on the relationship that you want to have, part of that means deciding on who you want to be in the relationship, who you want to be as a wife, what you want to experience, what you want to feel, how you want to be loved, how you want to be treated, what you're willing to show up for and do, and also what you aren't. And when you develop this clarity and connection for yourself to your relationship vision, what you're doing is you're turning to yourself in deep love and in deep respect and in deep self-honesty about all of the things that you want. And from there, what you start to do is model. You start to model to your husband, but also to all of the people around you, who you are and what you want and what you deserve and what you are willing to show up for and what you, quite frankly, are not willing to show up for. And you start to set healthy boundaries, and you start also to enforce consequences too, right? But most women don't do this because we're natural caregivers, and we don't want to see the people we love in pain, and we don't want to be a burden, right? And so we'll just quietly, we'll just take care of it. We'll do the thing. It's not a big deal. We minimize ourselves, especially in relationships. And then we get angry at our partners for not doing different, for doing literally the same thing that we do to ourselves. We get angry at our partners instead of starting within. And this is why I love working with women who tell me, yeah, but my man won't go to therapy. He'll never change. I'm like, girl, no problem. No problem. Let's not turn to him. Let's turn to you. All of this gets to start within you, and it creates a new energy, and it creates a new space and a new opportunity for your man to start meeting you in a different energy, for your man to start responding to you in a different energy. Because think about it. When you're in a relationship, it's a dynamic and it's a pattern, right? And in order for everything to stay the same, both people have to stay the same. So even if your man won't go to therapy and won't do anything different and won't talk to you about anything, right? In the beginning, that is the truth for a lot of women when they start working with me. Once you start to do this work, once you start to change, once your energy starts to change, once you stop automatically reacting, automatically doing things, automatically saying the same things over and over again, what happens is that your man has new things to respond to, right? You don't just jump in right away and do all the chores and responsibilities that you were doing, or get angry when he does something that you don't like, or right, you start to do things different, and that means that he starts to respond to new situations, and he starts to have more time in which he gets to have reactions. And for most of you that don't know, women move so much faster than men, especially when it comes to our emotional responses. Men take longer amount of time, but these are the things that you don't know, that we don't know. We did not grow up with this knowledge and education. It was not passed down to us by the women in previous generations. And that's why I'm sharing this on the podcast. This is the secret that I've unlocked and uncovered after years of messing up and years of changing my own relationship by studying with so many different teachers, relationship teachers, divine feminine energy teachers, somatic healers, therapists, NLP practitioners, getting all of my certifications, testing it in real life in my relationship, and then bringing it to the thousands of women that I've worked with for the past 12 plus years, and watched their relationships transform before our eyes in incredibly, incredibly fast amounts of time, right? I've seen women come to me that were literally in the beginning of getting divorced, that are now having the best sex of their lives, that their husbands are surprising them, taking them on regular date nights, taking them shopping, taking them out, things that they never did before. Or couples that would sit on the sofa, right? We've all been there. You're sitting on your sofa watching Netflix and you're scrolling on your phone and you're next to each other, but it feels like your worlds apart and you're not connected. And now my clients are having these incredibly deep and profound conversations with their partners in the jacuzzi as they're taking parent vacations, and they're talking about big plans for their future while their husbands are bringing home more money and investing in their goals and in their dreams and in their businesses together. I mean, if you're listening to this and you're like, yeah, right, my husband is never going to do that, please send me a DM right now, because I can't even tell you how many women that's the beginning of this work, where they're like, yeah, right, my man will never do that. But he will, because when you revolutionize your relationship, he suddenly has a new opportunity and a new inspiration for wanting to show up different. And I see it time and time again. One of my clients, her husband just bought them a surprise sailboat so that they could spend more time together. And when she first started working with me a month and a half ago, her biggest complaint was that her husband was always working, that she felt so far apart from him, that he never accepted her invitations to go on dates or do special things together. And she felt really hopeless, and that her only choice was for her to leave and find something new. And it's just not true, unless you continue to do exactly what you've been doing, show up in the same ways that you've been showing up, especially when they don't feel good for you. Because 100%, if you continue to do all the things that you've been doing and they haven't worked so far, if you keep doing it the same way, it's still not going to work. And that's the only way that I can guarantee that you won't get the results that you want in your relationship that I'm talking about right now. But when you learn how to show up in your relationship in a way that feels really good for you, when you learn how to tap into your unique feminine essence, and that's the energy of the woman that your man fell in love with, that quite frankly, you love about yourself also. I'm going to say it again and again. This is an invitation for you to do and be everything that you want, and to get into your best energy, and for you to feel amazing every day, and for you to show up in your relationship in that vibration, so that your man can meet you there, so that he can elevate his vibration, so that he can see the way that you treat yourself, the way that you honor yourself, the way that you set boundaries, the way that you communicate, the way that you show up even when things aren't working, with an open heart and a desire to connect, so that he can connect with you and he can get activated. Men are so freaking activated in the best sense by a woman's pain, when you learn how to show up in your unique feminine essence with your heart open, with a desire for connection with your man, he will not run away from your emotions. He will not tell you that you are crazy or too much or too emotional. He will show up with solutions. He will show up with a desire to be your hero. He will show up because your man wants to relieve your pain. He wants you to be happy. Nothing would fulfill him more in this life than being the man of your dreams, than being the hero that you want him to be, because that's the man that he wants to be for you and your family too. And all it takes is no nagging, no telling him what to do, no bossing him around, no doing all of the things that you wish that he would do. It's being the woman and the wife that you want to be, so that you can receive the love that you want, so that you can receive the support that you want, so that you can stop being a quote unquote good wife that's doing all the things that she's supposed to do, and be a happy, satisfied, fulfilled woman that gets all the things that she wants from her man, that feels incredible every day, that feels connected, that feels supported, that has the freedom and the time and the finances to do all of the things that you want to do, supported by a man that loves you beyond, and that you guys get to be incredibly happy in building the life that you both desire together. Doesn't that sound freaking amazing? I'm sharing this because it's real. I'm sharing this because every woman that comes through my DMs, that is in my Wildly Successful Woman program, that's how her relationship transforms. Whether it's on the rocks or whether it's okay, but it could be better. Wherever you're starting from, you can have absolutely everything that you want with your man, as long as when you look at him right now, you know that he's a good person, and you know that he wants better just like you want better, and you know that there's that potential there. But the tactics that you're using and the way that you're trying to talk to him and communicate with him, it's just not working. And that's what gets to shift. But it's not by compromising. And it's not by you doing more of the things that you don't want to do and being good and doing all of your shoulds. Because, honey, you know that ain't working. It's time for something else. So join me in the next episode, because I'm going to talk about the most important thing that you need to do in order to have all of this, in order to have it all, the relationship that you want, the relationship with yourself that you want, and all of the things that you want coming to fruition in your life every day, because it does get to feel like magic, even when it's hard, right? Even when there's things that you're working through or challenges that come up, you get to be fully supported. You get to be the woman of your own dreams. You get to have the things that you want and need. You're worth it and you deserve it. And I want to tell you exactly how. So meet me over in the next episode. Or if you want to chat, just shoot me a DM. You know where to find me. I'm on Instagram. Tell me what you want in your relationship. In fact, why don't you send me a message, and you, especially if it's my man will never, or that's not possible. Send me that message. Let's have a conversation about that, because I want to show you how possible and how easy and how quick everything can change for you in your relationship. Love you. Thank you so much for being here and listening to the pod. If you're ready to have it all while feeling absolutely amazing every day, because of course it gets to be this good for you and every woman on the planet, then go to www.haveitallqueen.com for a free gift from me and some juicy next steps. And if you're feeling this mission, that every woman is truly fulfilled and gets to live, play, work, love, and enjoy her family and life in a way that's healthy, expansive, exciting, and fun, it really helps if you write a review and share this pod with your friends, because our goal is to reach over 1 million women and change what they think is possible for their lives. So write a review or share with your friends. Thanks so much for listening, and I'll see you next time.